Coming up today on That LTD Life, we're going to look at a platform that lets you host your own online courses. You can even sell them. Does this mean you'll be able to ditch your Teachable or Kajabi account? Let's find out. This is Acadle over at AppSumo. So as you can see here, Acadle is $99. This is a one-time payment. It is not a monthly reoccurring fee. So it could offer huge savings over platforms like Kajabi or Teachable that I just mentioned, which are going to be about that much per month or probably even more. Now in this video, I'm going to focus on the basic features that are available in Acadle, but there is actually a lot more to this deal. So let me just take a moment to explain the plans and pricing. I'm going to do this in a little bit more detail than I usually do. If you're new to the channel, I typically kind of go over the plans very quickly. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's get into it. So these are the plans and pricing over at AppSumo. By the way, I have a link for AppSumo down in the description. If you click that before making a purchase, it helps this channel out so I can make more videos like this one. So let's go ahead and dig into the different features here. Now, on the surface, it seems kind of simple. The limits, 200 users, 2 team members on a 10 gigs of storage, just basically scale up with each code that you purchase. It goes all the way up to 10 codes. So everything is completely proportional. Users, by the way, are going to be people taking your courses. So you could replace that word with students if it clicks better with you. So if I needed 1,000 students, I would have to buy a tier 5 or a 5 code deal here. So you can see go up to 5 codes, I get 1,000 users. The same thing happens for team members. These are going to be the people that are organizing the courses, that are engaging with your students. They're going to be your employees, likely, if you're running a commercial online course business. There's other uses for Acadle as well, but let's focus on that concept of you're trying to sell your own courses. Well, if you need, say, 8 employees to work with you, well, you have to get a tier 4 license. You can see here, that's 8 employees. You want more than that, just multiply the number of codes times 2, and that'll be the number of employees you can have. There is a maximum here, 10 codes, 20 team members. The same thing goes for storage. You're going to get 10 gigs per code. Now, this might seem pretty simple. It's going to get more complex in a moment, but I'm just trying to lay out the fundamentals. 10 gigs per code. You want to have 100 gigs, get 10 codes. Now, why is storage so important here? Well, for one, you can upload videos to Acadle. I don't necessarily recommend that. I'm a little suspicious about the bandwidth and how fast those videos might load. However, there is a severe cap to this because videos have to be under 200 megabytes. That's the maximum file size. So it's very likely that you're still going to need a third-party video solution. We'll talk more about that as we get into the tool. Now, why is storage important then? Well, you're still going to be uploading images, you're going to be uploading PDFs. All of that is going to take up space, and over time, you could potentially fill up your allotment. So just keep in mind that you want to get as much storage as you think you'll need in the future because this is a one-time purchase. Now, here is where the nuance comes in. For codes 1 through 4, we're getting the basic features. I'll explain what that means in a moment. Once you get to codes 5 through 9, you're going to get the essential features. So let's take a moment and look at what the difference is between the basic features and the essential features. Here is the Acadle pricing page. You can see the pricing plan is normally $39 a month, and the essential plan is quite a bit more, $99 a month. So we can see right out of the gates, we are saving a significant amount of money with this lifetime deal. An annual plan is going to be, more than what we're paying just as a one-time fee. Now, throughout this video, which I suspect might get a little bit lengthy, I'm going to show you all of the features that are available in the basic plan, and I'll also point out where we are prohibited from proceeding if you don't have the essential plan. But for now, let me give you a bird's eye overview of what exactly is included. So, multi-language, you can translate Acadle into multiple languages. You do have to do this yourself. There is some manual effort involved. I'll show you that a little bit later on. We can clone courses and lessons. This is great because we're not going to have any templates. That's reserved for the essential plan. You'll be able to use webhooks and APIs to get information in and out of Acadle. You can bundle lessons together into modules. This is essentially a folder system for your courses. You'll get a custom domain name and an SSL certificate. Now, you're only going to get one of these. This is not a platform for resellers where you're going to offer it to your clients. You'd have to buy a separate AppSumo deal for each client if you wanted to do that. We can set up our own custom SMTP. This is critical because then the emails that go out from our courses when people sign up, the transactional emails, these will be from our own domain. Now, you're also going to need to have a transactional email provider. that is not included. So I assume you have some way to send email from your brand. I'll look at that a little bit later on as well. By the way, this is a good time to remind you there are chapter markers in this video. So if I'm mentioning something and you want to try to skip around to that part, it's probably not a bad idea. All right, next up, we get certificates so that when people complete a course, they can receive a certificate. Now, it's not going to be a custom certificate. Those are available in the essential and advanced plans. They're actually different on those plans, so I'll explain that in a moment. But certificates, at least their templates, are available. You can customize them with your own logo and type, but that's essentially it. All right, next up, it says private, noted, and bookmarks. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what this refers to, but I can intuit that it is probably customers can take notes on their courses and bookmark pages or their favorite lessons, but I'll look into that as we explore the tool. We get drip courses, so you can release lessons inside of courses at a set schedule or even a specific date. So if you want lessons to be available every 7 days, or maybe starting at September 1st, you can do both of those things. Now, Acadle has this system where when you're creating a course, you can choose between a normal course and a video course. In my opinion, this is not the best system, but it's how it's laid out, and we do get access to both of these on the basic plan. If you want to run courses live, so you're actually broadcasting live, you can do that with the basic plan, but you'll have to bring your own provider for broadcasting live. There's some other options as we go up. We'll talk about the essential plan and the advanced plan momentarily. We're going to be able to sell our courses, and with the basic plan, there is going to be some Acadle branding. It's very minimal, but if that sort of thing bugs you, you're going to want to go up to tier 5 to get the essential plan where branding is removed. Okay, so now let's go through the essential plan. What are we getting when we go to tier 5 other than that removed branding that I just mentioned? Well, we're going to have discussion inside of the lessons. These are essentially comments on the lessons. So if that's important to you, tier 5 is where to be. We also get templates, both static and dynamic templates for your lessons. This can be very critical if you are a very active course creator. Now, we can clone our lessons and our courses, but then you'll have that kind of extra course sitting around doing nothing. So if you're someone who likes to keep everything neat and tidy, well, then definitely templates is the way to go. We'll get assessments and surveys, so you can quiz people and find out how much they're learning, and surveys to follow up maybe with what they enjoyed or disliked about your course. You'll get leaderboards to see who's completing the course and gamification to encourage people to actually make it to the end. You'll get customer badges to note who are the top performers. We can style things a little bit further with the essential plan to change the fonts and colors. We get custom certificates. Now, the difference here between the regular certificates and custom certificates is you can upload your own design. You cannot do that with the basic plan. To upload your own design, you're going to need the essential plan. Now, there is one more option for certificates called the certificate builder, and I'll address that momentarily as we get to the advanced plan because that is a lifetime deal option as well. The essential plan also unlocks light and dark mode, an embeddable academy, so you'll be able to embed this on your website if you don't want to use their own website that they provide. Remember, we do get a custom domain and SSL certificate, so I find this less interesting personally. You can make your academy public via a link if you'd like, and you will get live courses native inside of the Acadle Academy, but it is a paid add-on, so it is not included, but now you have the option to purchase it. Thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a complex deal, right? Deciding which plan you want is going to take a minute. So that is available between codes 5 and 9. Once you get to 10 codes, this is the top tier that is available, and you get the advanced features. Of course, all of the other limits have been scaling up the entire time. The big thing that gets unlocked with 10 codes is a community. So you get basically kind of a Facebook group style community available on your own custom domain. Of course, that's not all you get. Let's go ahead and go through the checklist here. We're going to get single sign-on. So if you're trying to integrate other services, you'll be able to do that. Maybe need a little technical know-how to do so. Login restriction with domain. Why is this important? Well, maybe you want to restrict students of your academy to just be employees. If you're creating an employee training center, well, you'll probably want the advanced plan to not let anybody sign up with their personal email address. We get that community that I mentioned before. And for that community, there is a new theme called Social and Forum theme to make everything look a little bit more familiar to people, kind of Facebooky. You'll get access to the mobile SDK. Now, I have not checked this out at all, and it does have an asterisk next to it. There is no text on the screen to describe what the asterisk means. So I'm just going to assume that you're going to need to obviously have custom development to make your own mobile app, but perhaps this is still in progress or maybe is coming soon. I'm not really sure here because of that asterisk. Just don't think you will get your own mobile app if you buy the advanced plan. That is definitely not the case. There'll be much more work involved to develop it. Next, we get email outreach and segmentation. These things kind of go hand in hand, so we can actually use this for somewhat of email marketing capabilities. That's a really cool idea. With the advanced plan, we now get native live courses included. It's not a paid add-on, so that's the difference here. You're also going to get a certificate builder, so you don't need to upload your own designs or be restricted to their templates. You can customize those designs using their builder. We'll also get learning paths. If you've ever done a lynda.com, I think it's now called LinkedIn Learning. Well, they have learning paths on there, and it's very nice. You can say, set out to become a developer, and they'll take you through the very beginnings of maybe learning HTML and then CSS and then JavaScript, and just advance through a particular learning path so you can become an expert at a particular subject. Now, of course, as a creator, you're going to have the curriculum to progress people, but this way you'll be able to tell your students, hey, these are the courses I recommend in this specific order. And the last two features here, you'll get SCORM. This is a set of technical standards for online course learning. It's primarily used in higher education, but it can definitely be used for anyone who wants to add, more detailed ways to learn things. I'm not going to go into SCORM in this video. In fact, I'm basically going to be focusing on the basic plan, basically. But finally, to wrap up our advanced plan here, we're going to get onboarding support if we sign up for that. I'm not sure exactly what that entails, but I would assume some more human interaction. Okay, are you overwhelmed yet? I know it's a lot to take in, but this is a big purchase and it's a foundation of a business. A lot of people make their living selling online courses. So take a moment, digest all this, and while you do, let's check out the platform. All right, so here we are inside of Acadle. I've already been using this account and customizing things a little bit. That's why you see my squished logo in the corner here. But I'm going to go through all of the features. Let's get started by looking at the most important thing, which is the courses. So I'm going to go over to the course section right here. Now, when you get started with Acadle, they're going to give you a lot of example courses. You can get rid of these in a hurry if you like. Just click up here on your user avatar and then go to Clear Demo, and it will remove all of the demo courses. But I recommend checking them out. It's a good way to kind of learn how to structure your own courses. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you what it's like from a user's perspective when they discover the course and get enrolled. Then I'll show you the flip side, and you can see what it's like as an administrator. Later on in the video, I'll go through all of those settings and options we discussed in the pricing plan. Now, Acadle does have a very nice option here to switch over to the user view. So I'm no longer an administrator. I'm more like a regular person signed into the academy. I can see a listing of all of the categories I have available, as well as the courses that I could take. Now, if I wanted to take the Getting Started course, I would click right here, and I'm taken inside of the actual course. Now, this is someone who's already enrolled in the course, but what's the experience like before you get enrolled? Is there a sales page? Yes. So let me switch back to admin view and show you that sales page. So here's our Getting Started course. I'm going to click on the triple dots here, and you're going to see there is a landing page option right here. When I click on that, I can see what the landing page is going to look like. It's got the course title, the ratings, when it was created, how many students are enrolled, and how long the course is. Then I can add my own course image up here, an overview of what's included in the course, and then a little sidebar over here to show you all of the other things that are included, such as how many videos, how many lessons, downloads, the time it'll take to complete, whether it's available on mobile, and what certificate you might earn. Of course, you can put any information in here that you want. So maybe you want to list requirements on this field. You could do that. Then there's an About the Author box. I can't customize this from the landing page. I would do so inside of my own account. And then the contents down here is going to be populated automatically by the lessons you add to your course. And then I've got the public URL over here to view the landing page, and I can turn it on with this toggle switch. Overall, I really like this template system. In fact, we've built something very similar for our own courses inside of WooCommerce, but that took custom development. Now everything here is done for you. Of course, you can't customize it. That is part of being on a SaaS platform. The features they provide are basically what you're going to get. Now, you can integrate your course platform with something like Thrivecart to build a full sales page. I will look at how to sell your courses, but I'm not going to go deep into setting up Thrivecart with Acadle. If you really want to see that, drop me a comment down below and we'll see what can be done. Now, before I leave the landing page, there's a few other things to point out. One is a personal pet peeve in terms of their user interface. They like to use this eyeball all over the platform, and sometimes it has different meanings. On this page, it is whether or not a piece of content is published. So for example, the overview here might be a course description. Right now, it's not published. If I want to publish it, I click on the eyeball. Now, sometimes it means other things, so we'll get into that a little bit later on. I think for most people, when they see an eyeball, they're going to think it's a preview button, and later on, it will be. Last thing on the landing page, there are some options over here for the public URL. I think it's also just maybe the slightest bit confusing. Of course, we can click on the pencil icon here to change the slug. That's important. I like that. The last thing that's a little bit confusing here is publishing the landing page. So obviously we've got this toggle switch here to enable the landing page, but then you've also got this globe icon right here. When you click this, it grants public access. And then when you turn it off, it is no longer available publicly. So even though you're enabling the landing page, if you're not signed in, you won't see it unless the globe is turned on. I think this should be made a little bit more clear, and perhaps just having a drop down to set those permissions when you turn on the landing page would be a better option. Okay, so that's the landing page. Let's switch back over to the customer view, or the user view as they call it, and we can see what the course is like as we engage with it. So switching to user view, we're actually going to go into two different courses here so you can see the difference between what they call a normal course and a video course. Let's get started by going into the UI Acadle course right here. When I click on this, I see a full landing page just like we were editing before. Now it's populated with a lot of information. You can see how this would be definitely compelling and useful to users. It feels a lot like Udemy, so it immediately feels trusted. That's a good thing. All right, let's go into the course. We're already enrolled. And this is what they call a normal course. We've got our little folder up here containing other lessons. So this is essentially like a module with lessons inside. And then all of these lessons happen to be text-based. Now you can add videos to these lessons, but as I scroll from top to bottom, I can see the next lesson button, and that's going to take me into that next lesson. This course in particular is set up so that I cannot advance to the next lesson unless I complete the previous one. So let's say I wanted to skip this one and go to the sum numbers lesson. Well, I can't do so. I click there, nothing happens until I click the next lesson button. I would love if there was a little bit more of an explanation when you try to skip ahead in the course to let you know you need to complete it in order. However, that is not available. I could see people getting confused saying, oh, this course doesn't work. I'm trying to go to the onboarding and it just doesn't go. And then you get the customer support. So maybe a little pop-up message would go a long ways here. Now I'm going to blast through the remaining lessons here so we can get down to the survey and assessment. That way we can see what the surveys and quizzes look like. Oh, real quick on this lesson, you can see they've embedded a video. So that's definitely completely doable. All right, this is the last lesson before we get to the survey. Clicking next lesson. Here is what the surveys look like. It's just a multiple choice. So I'll go ahead and do this. Now, obviously they didn't fill out the questions. They're slider questions. We can add more context. Open-ended, checkbox, and our survey is complete. Now let's check out the quiz, or assessment as they call it. The assessment is very similar to the survey, but now we've got a timer. So this is set to be 1 minute, and I can see the countdown timer in the upper left-hand corner. I can also see how many questions there are. I could skip ahead to a question. No, I could not, but I assume that's probably possible. And there are 6 total. All right, I'm just gonna go through these checkbox questions, true and false, fill in the blank, essay, and then upload. So you can have a user upload a document or maybe a project they created in another application. All right, I've just uploaded a file and we'll finish our assessment. All right, so it says assessment completed and then finish. Now I am done with the course. And it says, congratulations, you've completed the course. And now back on the dashboard, I can see the little badge to indicate that I've completed the course. Otherwise, I would see a progress meter over here to show how far along you are. So as a user, this is really good. It's not a completely stunning presentation of an online course, but it's completely usable. And whether or not I enjoy the course is going to depend a lot more on the course content than the software. And that's the ideal scenario. So let's go back over to admin view and see how this course is actually constructed. I will switch to admin, Go to courses and hit create new course here. We're going to just start right from scratch. You can see the 3 different options. Now I've got the normal course. That's what we viewed. There's also a video course. I haven't checked that out yet. We will get there. And then a live course. I'm not touching those. Keep in mind, I've got the basic plan. So to do a live course, I'd have to connect up a third-party provider to actually embed the live video component. I will show you some of the settings for this a little bit later on. So let's stick with the normal course and then we'll get into video courses. Basically, the setup screen is the same depending on a normal or a video course. We give the course a name, a description, set the duration, give course access. Access is granted based on something called groups. We will touch on groups later on as we look at the user section, but we're always given a default group. So you can go ahead and set that up if you've not done anything further with your groups. We can categorize our courses. Obviously, there are some presets here from the demo content, but you can add your own categories. We'll look at that later as well. Add an image for your course. You saw that on our landing page, but you can also choose a video for that if you prefer. We can tag the course for easier filtering and finding via search. And if you don't want to use any of these features, you can disable them from the right-hand sidebar. There is locking features, so you can turn off enrollment for this course on a particular date and time, or after a certain number of days when a person joins your academy. We can also highlight this. You might notice if I go back over to the user view, that the UI Acadle course is marked as new. That is a highlight. So the highlights we have available to us are new, featured, coming soon, and none. It might be nice to have a custom option here so you could just type in whatever you want, but that's not available. Okay, so rather than creating my own course here, what I'm going to do is just open up an existing one. In fact, we will look at the UI Acadle course that we just went through. So here is all of the course content. The editor looks a lot like the user experience, which is a very good thing. It makes it a lot easier to see what your customers are going to be experiencing rather than being in something like the WordPress editor, which can be a little bit difficult to visualize, what the actual end user will see. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of LMSs on WordPress. I use them almost every day, but I do have to admit that this is a better experience for someone who's not super technical. So what is it like to add a new lesson? Well, I just click add new up here and I'm given some options. Now with my current plan, I can create a quiz, a lesson, or a group. If I wanted to do an assessment or a survey, which we already saw, that needs the essential plan. So I have to go up to at least tier 5 on AppSumo. Now, a question that just came to my mind is what's the difference between a quiz and assessment? It's essentially how many options you have for questions. Quizzes are limited to multiple choice and checkboxes, whereas assessments, well, we saw the assessments a moment ago. It actually won't even let me click on this to show you the different question types. It's actually a missed opportunity in my opinion. Throughout the application, we're going to see, especially as we get into the settings, there are all of these badges to indicate that I don't have access to features, but there's not an upsell button. It doesn't make it very easy to upgrade your account. You kind of have to know proactively, all right, let me go back out to AppSumo and upgrade that way. They could really do a better job. It's, like I said, a missed opportunity. They do a better job of teaching me what these features are and what I'm missing out on. They would probably make some more sales. I think that's important because if you're going to invest in this platform, you want to know that they're good at selling their own platform and that they're going to succeed in the future. Keep in mind that building an online course takes a lot of time and there's not a good escape route inside of Acadle. So if you want to move your courses from one platform to another, you're going to be doing a lot of manual copying and pasting. There is exporting of users, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. Okay, so what is a group? Well, a group is essentially a module. Like we have the About section over here. This is a group. I'll add a new one here. Maybe I'll call it Module 1, and I'm adding it. It's a little bit slow to respond to some things. The category was just created. Okay, once my module has been added, you can see it shows up here at the bottom. I can drag this around and put it where I want it to go in the course. One thing I can't seem to figure out is how I actually get lessons into it. It comes with an untitled lesson here, but if I were to just drag a lesson, which seems like the intuitive move here, it just kind of moves the module out of the way. So if anyone out there can help me, this is one thing I cannot figure out. You'd think when you create a new lesson, you could nest it inside of the existing groups, but that doesn't seem to be an option in the setup. So yeah, let me know in the comments. In terms of the lesson editor, it's pretty good. I think it's based on the same technology that Ghost uses for their CMS. It's not quite as polished as the Ghost version, but let's go ahead and create a new lesson here and I'll show you. I'll call this one demo and I'm going to unlock it immediately and give it the URL demo. And let's go ahead and hit save. All right, so I'm inside of the editor. Now, unfortunately, slash commands don't work here. They do inside of Ghost. That's why I bring this up if you're familiar with that platform. What you can do, however, is just start typing. So I'll call this my demo lesson, and then I'll select it and make it a heading. Now, as I go to the next line, I get a little plus icon. That didn't show up on the first line. I think that would be nice if it was there by default, but I'll click the plus button. I can see all of the different cards that are available to us. So we've got text, which we already saw, headings. So if you know you want to start with a heading or a list, you have both bulleted lists and numbered lists available. Of course, you can add links. However, there is some kind of inline editing. So if I just said, this is my link, I can also select the part that I want to be a link and then choose the option right here and then type in my URL. By the way, the other inline editing options are going to be things for like bold text, italic text, adding inline code, as well as adding a marker to essentially like give it a background color to highlight something. Inline code is formatting, by the way. So this is if you're teaching technical lessons and you need to have a little bit of code markup so that it's clearly indicated that it's code. Let's say I was doing like, I don't know, a JavaScript line or something. So here's an example. I'll remove that text and I'll just paste in this little bit of code here. It's basically an embed from YouTube, but you get the idea. If you've ever done any sort of technical coding type of things, you'll be familiar with that layout. Okay, so those are the inline formatting things. Let's go back to the cards here, as I call them. We've got links. We can do code right here. That's going to give you a big full width block along the same lines for what I just showed you. However, now it's not in line. Now, if you want to remove one of these cards, you'll click on the 4 dots over here. It says click to tune, kind of interesting verbiage. I'll click on this and then I can either move it up, move it down, or delete it. Intuitively, I see these as handles because often you'll see 3 on each side as a handle, but when you do that, you can't drag it around. So you've got to use those arrows to move them around. And if you're done with something, hit the delete button. All right, we can add quotes. We can do a delimiter. This is basically like a horizontal divider. We can add tables. It functions exactly like you might suspect. You can add as many columns and rows as necessary. For now, I'm going to remove this table. I will show you what these all look like on the front end as well, so just hang tight. We've got something called personality. This is essentially like an author box where you can describe somebody. So you get a name, a description, a link, and then you can add an image. You could use this for products as well. It doesn't have to be a person. So maybe you want to describe a particular product you're recommending. That would make sense. We've got attachments, I guess. This is going to be just exactly what it sounds like. We can add a file here and then people will be able to download it. We've got a warning box. This is basically like a call out. So you can have a title as well as a message, and we'll have some nice formatting on the back end. Again, I'll show you that momentarily. You can add an image, exactly what you'd suspect. We can do raw HTML. So if you want to code something up, the HTML will actually render for the users. So this is a way to get even more functionality out of the editor than what you would normally have. There's the free space option. Now, at a glance, this looks like it's going to be a horizontal line, but it's not. It's literally just adding a little bit of space between the different elements. And these will look quite a bit different on the front end. And the last option over here is to upload a video. Now, keep in mind, these are going to be limited to 200 megabytes, but you can just go ahead and upload your file right here. When you're all done with your lesson, you'll click the save button down here. There's also a preview icon. Notice it's the same eyeball that we saw to publish and unpublish items before. Hopefully you can see how that might be a little bit confusing to people, but there we go. We've got the same eyeball to open this up essentially in student view. Now this is the lesson I just created on the back end. I'm going to show you one that's got a little bit more content that I created before hitting record. By the way, when I try to leave the lesson without saving, I am prompted to save my work. That's a nice touch. All right, so now I'm going to go over to the lesson I created earlier on. This is what it looks like on the back end. I've got a title, an image. I've got a caption for that image. Here is a warning box. We've got a download, the personality box here, a table, the delimiter, a quote, some HTML, as well as a heading with a link here. So let's preview this. All right, so here's my image loading with the caption, the warning box, the download. You can see the download is only clickable on the down arrow. My personality is unfortunately not loading the image, and I haven't been able to troubleshoot why that is. It shows up on the editor, but not on the front end. The delimiter adds this line with the dots. I'm not a big fan of that look. Here is the quote. Here's the HTML. It's not actually rendering. Then here is my link as well as my heading. All right, so that is the normal lesson. Let's just do a quick A/B with the video lesson. I'm not going to spend nearly as much time on this. Let's jump out to the dashboard, go back over to our user view. And let's go over to Acadle video tutorials, the demo content they provide. Now here we've just got a full width video player. We've got discussion and bookmarks. Now remember, discussion is going to be reserved for the essential plan, so we won't have access to this. But under bookmarks, we can link out to any relevant websites that are maybe mentioned in your video. I'll show you the editor of this in a moment as well, but we've got our progress buttons up here in the upper right. They are not down below, so I guess that is maybe just a little bit less intuitive since they were for the normal courses. If you mix and match video courses and normal courses, the users will have to relearn basically where the progress buttons are, so I don't love that idea. By the way, I also don't love that you can't add a video lesson inside of a non-video course. It seems like these two should be interchangeable. If I want to just drop in the simple video lesson, that would make a lot of sense to me. Okay, so that's a video course from the user's perspective. Now let's look at the editor. We'll switch back to admin view, go over to our courses. I find it a little tedious that it always drops you in the dashboard. I wish it remembered where you were inside of the course building process. But now we'll go into the Acadle video tutorials course, manage these lessons. And you can see it's a super simple layout. So here I have all of the options, the overview to give my lesson maybe kind of a summary or a written description. The discussions, which again should not be enabled. It looks like it is, but according to the plans on their own pricing page, I don't have access to discussions. That is reserved for the essential plan. Maybe they've changed that. I'm not really sure. It looks like I have it. Bookmarks, this is where we can add our own links. This feature is a little bit glitchy in my opinion. So let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to add in a link to mlb.com. I'll hit return. And then absolutely nothing is going to happen for quite a while, leading you to believe that the link actually was not submitted. So perhaps you'll hit it a few more times and end up duplicating the link multiple times. You see there, it just finally showed up. My hands were off the keyboard. It eventually renders. So that's fine if I had a little progress indicator letting me know it was thinking. But let's say I did hit enter 19 times because the text does remain here. I'll add another link in. For example, let's say I was adding that link. I press return. It doesn't go away. I can continue to hit the button as many times thinking like, oh, it's not submitting. There's not a submit button, or maybe this is the submit button. It looks like a disclosure triangle. And you can see here that the link is just going to keep repeating because I hit it so many times. Not a great user experience for sure. And to make things worse, if I want to remove these links, well, I'll click the trash icon and I'm faced with this dialog box, just an exclamation mark and a green rectangle and a white rectangle. You assume the green one is to get rid of it, and it is. So just go through one by one and remove your mistakes. This seems like a very unfinished feature, and I'm really honestly surprised it's in the tool, given the fit and finish of most of the rest of the tool. This is certainly not a deal breaker, much like the visibility. Again, these are to publish the lessons right here. If I want to unpublish it, I would think it's to preview the lesson, but it's not. Much like that little nuance, it's just like death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? Where it's these little UI things that kind of wear away at the administrator, especially if they're not highly technical, and at end users where they have expectations for buttons in certain places, doing certain things, and they're not there. So again, not a complete deal breaker, but I want to point out all of those little nuances that I see. The last option here is the file manager, which honestly is a little bit of a mystery to me. There is a file manager built into Acadle, which I'll show you in a little bit here, but this is just a search box with no explanation. So I gotta be honest, don't know what it does. All right, that's essentially everything you need to know to build your own course in Acadle. Now let's dig a little bit deeper. We'll look at things like how to categorize things, how to sell things, how to connect up Stripe, and all of that. So far we've just been inside of this courses area. Let's go through the line. We'll do this rather quickly. This video is getting a little bit long, but the user section, let's start there. We can add our own users manually, just hit the add users button. However, there is an import option if you'd like to do that as well. Perhaps you're coming from another platform, you've got a list of all of your users, you can import them here via an Excel file. They do have a template, so you can download that and make sure you're fitting the right format before you upload it. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, but only briefly, there is an export option so you can get your users out. Just click the export option and it will download a file with all of your user information. It will not export your course material, just the users, an important distinction. If you don't want to import your users or add them one at a time through the add user section here, you can also invite them via email. So just click this button, it will send out an email. There's actually a way to customize what the email looks like, as well as set up your own custom SMTP. We're almost to that point, so stay tuned. There's one more important feature in the users page that I think actually deserves its own interface. Instead, it's just got a little pop-up window here where we're going to add our groups. Now, groups are extremely critical to Acadle because remember, this is how we're going to be granting access to our courses. Just to kind of recap here, I've got a default group set up. And if you remember when I was configuring the course, either creating one or if you edit it after the fact, you grant access based on the group that is chosen. So you definitely want to make sure you're setting up your groups appropriately, especially if you don't want to give access to all of your courses when someone purchases one course. So let me show you how to create a group. We'll go over to Manage Groups, and then there's not actually a button that says Add New Group. And honestly, I stared at this interface not knowing what to do. But right here, we can create a new group. It just says Enter Group Name. I'll call this one Tacos, and I'll hit Save. And now my taco group has been created. And if I have a taco making course where I'm teaching people cooking, I can grant them access to that course by assigning them to that group. Now you can see a user's groups right here. It's very easy to add additional groups. You can just go ahead, and these are kind of like tags, right? Just add in the groups that you want to grant them access to. And now this person is in both the default group as well as the tacos group. There are bulk actions as well. So we can choose multiple users, then go over to the actions over here. I think labeling that bulk actions would be more clear, but let's say I want to remove all of these from the default group. I could just choose the group to remove from, hit save. It says manage user group. It should say remove user from group. But now that that's done, the modal stays up and if the page reloads, and you can see they're no longer part of that default group. So the function works fine, just kind of the fit and finish is not quite there. We do get some information about each user. We can see some personal details. So their phone number, their city, their state, whatever you've asked for during enrollment, we can specify that later on as well. We can see their course progress in terms of what they've actually completed so far. We can go ahead and turn them off. Let's say someone's refunded or there's some reason you need to remove them from your company. You can deactivate access to the course. And you can also just remove them completely from the platform with this option right here. Now, keep in mind that the number of students or users on your academy is limited. I have the basic plan. It's 196 users still available because I have 4 users signed up right here, and I get 200 total. All right, let's move along to the settings page over here. The settings are fairly simple. We start off with the login page and we add in our own branding here. You can see there is a bright and dark option. Think of this as light mode and dark mode for both desktop and mobile. So the mobile version is essentially getting like your favicon. Now, all of this information, the title, the logo link, and the description, this is very important because it's actually going to appear on the login page for your website. So here is the content for the login page, and then here is the layout. I don't love this design because not even just the design of the login page. I don't love the design of toggling between these tabs. I'd rather have the layout present while I edit the content. In my opinion, there's no reason I couldn't have the information displayed right here, and then I could see it updating hopefully in real time. Now you can see there's a few different templates here. I can toggle through them. We've got kind of this split view. We've got the split view with the logo in a different location. My logo, if you're familiar with it at all, you might not be. It's kind of squished here because I didn't take the time to resize it. It does say very specifically the dimensions it wants. It appears correct here, but when it actually shows up on the site, it looks all squished. So an easy fix, just go into Photoshop, resize your logo to the appropriate dimensions. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm just trying out the software. Now, what I don't love is like my logo has my company name, but then I also have to give the page a title. So I could say something like Client Amp Academy, I guess. And then if I go ahead and save this and go back over to the layout, I can see that my logo is up here and then the Client Amp Academy. I guess that's fine. I would love to be able to just remove the title if I wanted to. Here's what the other layouts look like, by the way. We've got logo on the left, and we have the one that we started with, which by default is kind of a dark mode type of view, but I changed the background color, the text color, and the button color. However, that didn't seem to stick. Oh, it's got an error there. There we go. That looks better. There are some SEO options as well. So this will be your metadata so that when you rank on Google, which by the way, you can set these to be public if you get a high enough tier, and then your courses, your community can even show up on Google. This is going to be the metadata for it. So the title, the keywords you want to rank for, probably less important, but the description, thumbnail, and favicon all do matter because those will show up in the SERPs. We do get a little preview over here as we build it out, which makes me think, why didn't they do that for the layout page? That is much better. All right, the design options and the gamification options I will not be covering in this video because I don't have access to them. If you want an essential or even an advanced video covering all of those features, drop me a line down below. I'd have to get some pretty strong encouragement because it's going to cost me like $1,000 to buy that plan. So if you want to see me do it, let me know, and I'll need to see, like I said, a lot of encouragement. In the pixels section here, we can inject some pixels on our head or body. So this will be things like your tracking codes for Meta or your Google Analytics. You can do these either on the login page or the landing pages. It's going to be kind of site-wide on those landing pages. We can add our certificates right here. Now, keep in mind, I only have access to the templates. I can't use the builder. And if I choose templates here, there's also the option to upload a template, and I don't have that either on the basic plan. But there are these templates here, and honestly, they're just fine. They look a little generic and cheesy. I guess it would depend on whether or not your company has a very strong design language to it, and you want to have your own templates. But I think for the average online course business, these are just fine. And last but not least, in the settings, we've got external links. So I've gone ahead and added an external link to my homepage, clientamp.com. If we view this as a user, you're going to see it says home right up here. Now, there's already a home option. I didn't know that when I added it, but this is going to be the link that I added. It takes you to clientamp.com, and there we are. All right, so that's everything in the settings view. Let's just go over to the admin section here and wrap this video up. The admin section is where we do all of the configuration for any integrations, setting up our SMTP, setting up our pricing pages, everything like that. So our team members are right here. Remember, we get 2 team members per code that we purchase. So I could add 1 additional user at my current plan. Under masters, this is really like your organization. It's kind of a peculiar title to me, but we've got our course categories here as well as our course tags. If you have the community, they call that engage. That's available right here under topics and settings. I can't get in there because I don't have that plan. Our integrations are available over here. You'll see there's an API as well as webhook integration. There's a lot of third-party integrations, but primarily just for chat platforms like Intercom, Freshchat, Talk, Curobot, Gist, Live Chat, all of those. A few help desk integrations and HubSpot for CRM. A lot of automation platforms are integrated with this tool. We've got SureTriggers, Pabbly, Zapier, SyncSpider, Integrately. A few other ones I have not heard of, but I'm sure are pretty good. Not sure, but I'm just saying that to be nice. I'm on YouTube. The domain section is right over here. This is where you set up your own custom domain. Obviously, you'll need to do a little bit of DNS configuration to do so, but this is the opportunity you have to customize your own academy. The auth section, this is going to be for our single sign-on. Again, I'm not covering that in this video. Access codes, this is quite cool. Let's say you sell a bulk license to your course to another company and they want all of their employees to take your course. Well, you can issue access codes, export them, give them to the company, and they can distribute them. Then people can sign up to your online academy just using the access codes. Quite an advanced feature. This would be difficult to do on other platforms. If you're using something like WooCommerce, it would require a paid add-on for sure, but it's included here in our plan. Languages, this is where we can do our translations for the tool. So right now I've got English set up as my only language, but if I wanted to add another one, let's say like Spanish, I could go ahead and choose that and then hit add. Now all of the available terms that you'll see throughout the tool, and there are quite a few of them, these are all individual pages. I can translate these all into Spanish. It's not done for us, unfortunately. On the upside, it's completely customizable, so you can make it say anything you want. But it would be nice maybe if they just integrated maybe like an AI model to go through and give us a starting point, at least for the most common languages. We do have the ability to choose a lot of different options here. So that's important because it'll be the titles that will be available to end users. But yeah, there's not anything done for you. It's just translatable. It's not translated. That makes sense? Once again, to turn on a language, you'll need to click the publish button, which is this I over here. It's not to preview what it'll look like in that language. And then you can remove a language over here with the trash icon. I'll just get rid of this one for now. We do have a file manager inside of this tool, which is important because we have a limited amount of space. So you can see all of the files that you have already uploaded. This is great, very easy to remove them, view the details, check out all of the information. If you start running out of space, maybe you can go through and purge some old files that are no longer needed. The pricing section over here is where you configure either Stripe or Thrivecart in order to take payments for your lessons. To do this, you'll have to create a plan. The plans essentially are going to be tied to one of the 2 payment methods and allow people to pay either a one-time or a subscription fee. Of course, you'll have to connect up either your Stripe or your Thrivecart account here, just pasting in your API keys, turning things on, and then adding the webhook back over to Stripe. If you have ever set up Stripe on any other platform, it's basically the same thing. Under the email section, there's 4 tabs to go through here. I only have access to a few of them. Under templates, we can customize any of the emails that it's going to set out for our transactional emails, such as when someone resets their password, we can customize this. If someone goes ahead and shares a course, we can customize this. There's going to be these variables over here to the right, such as the URL, the name, all of that. You can go ahead and just use these right inside of your email. SMTP is where you can connect up your own server. I am using my own custom email server and it's working flawlessly, so very happy with that. Drip email, I don't have access to. You need to go to advanced for that. It says pro right here, but I think they mean advanced. That is a feature that is unlocked. It will allow us to send our users drip sequences. And then finally, we've got notifications over here. This will allow us to send out email notifications either daily, weekly, monthly, and then either to administrators or users. There's another little weird UI quirk here. I've talked about death by 1,000 paper cuts. This column says view, and then there is what looks like, I would assume if I click on this, it's going to show me maybe a list of users, but it's actually people who have unsubscribed. So I don't know. That's a strange place to put the unsubscribed users. We're almost done here. We've got our configurations page where we can go ahead and set up our own privacy policy, terms of service, a few different course settings, such as like the time zone, the country code. If you want to accept payments, there is a very important switch over here. They should probably move this to the payments section, but you need to turn on payments and registration right here. Without that, you won't be able to accept payments. If you want to make your academy public, you can do so right here. This is another feature I believe they said was reserved. Yeah, Public Academy should be reserved for the Essential plan. However, I can turn it on, so maybe it has now been moved to the Basic plan. Let's talk branding real quick. There's only very slight branding. It says Academy built with Acadle when you go to log in. Let me show you what this looks like. So I'm in a private window right now and I'm not logged in at all. So if I were an end user logging in to view my online courses, I would just see this in the lower left-hand corner, Academy built with Acadle. However, once you get to tier 5, you can turn that off. And the engage settings are over here as well to enable engage and enable lesson to engage sync. So every time you add a lesson, it will add a conversation over on engage. Remember, that's going to be your Facebook group style community that's included with tier 10. If you're a security person, or maybe you need to modify the headers in order to do some embedding or things like that, there are a lot of options here to change your available response headers. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but it is there for the experts who need to modify it. So over on the add-on sections where we have the ability to pay them a little bit of extra money, if you want to add your own affiliate program to Acadle, you can do so for $10 a month. And then you can have affiliates promoting your online courses, selling and earning a commission. Well, you of course get more revenue as well. Then there is the live stream and learning path add-ons. These will both be included if you go up to the advanced level, tier 10, but they are available for purchase once you enter the essential level. All right, so that is just about everything. There's one other little UI thing I want to point out. We've got a training tab up here. The training tab is only available when we're looking at our dashboard. If I'm on any other page, it doesn't show up until I get to the dashboard. I don't know why that is. I think it should be available all of the time. Also, just in terms of efficiency, you can see my logo reloads every single time. That's a little bit weird to me. You'd think that that header could kind of be cached and just automatically show up on every page. Like for example, I'm on our own website here for clientamp.com. I'm gonna load up this product showcase article here. You'll notice that the icon essentially never goes anywhere. And if I go over maybe to our courses section, it maybe just changes position slightly, but it's always visible. It's not reloading every single time. All right, so that is Acadle. Time for a score. I'm gonna give it a 6.9. It's a really good tool, but there are just all those little minor quirks that would personally annoy me over time. I have to admit here, I'm a little bit biased. I manage client websites that are running WordPress, and we do a lot of LMS stuff on WordPress. So I think as a more advanced user, I would really miss out on having access to complete customization. However, if we take a step back and think about who this is great for, $99 is gonna get you the ability to sell online courses, grow your income. That is absolutely incredible. No monthly overhead. So for that, it's an absolute slam dunk. If you're a newer content creator and you don't have the budget or the technical ability to build your own infrastructure, this is an absolute great opportunity to do so. I am more biased to go towards the more advanced customizable thing, thinking long-term, owning your community, owning your own data. I think that's really critical, but not everyone has those luxuries. So to have the ability to do something like this is really an excellent option. By the way, if you don't know who I am Dave Swift. I'm from clientamp.com. Go check out our website. I just showed you a little bit of it, but over there you can find articles, online courses, and sign up for our free email newsletter. And if you want me to work on your online course business, I could do that as well. Contact me via clientamp.com. That's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, you watched the whole thing, click the like button, get subscribed, and by all means, leave me a comment down below with any questions or even just to say hi for the algorithm. It's very much appreciated. But for now, I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.